Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. Join us later on tonight for our SmackDown review right after the show finishes up. All 3 hours of SmackDown tonight, Larson. Looking forward to it.
Too much. I can't wait till June when it goes back to 2 hours.
I was so happy when Triple H announced that. Anyways, today we're here to talk about, given that Penta had a supremely successful, I think, objectively, debut in WWE.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody could argue otherwise. Larson, we're here to take a look at 10 other wildly successful WWE debuts, regardless of where they might have ended up after the fact. We're looking at these debuts.
Yeah. Well, we got to lay out some criteria here, too. This is initial debut with the company, so we're not talking main roster call-up debuts, anything like that. Like, literally their debut.
Right.
In an official capacity with the company after signing. That's what we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think successful is an important qualifier to have in the title because I think, at least personally, I'm looking through all of these through the prism of how do these debuts set up these wrestlers for success?
Right. Yeah.
And did they pull it off?
Right. Also, another thing to consider, and this really kind of only applies in one situation. These are obviously characters. So, like, you know, Isaac, although I imagine Isaac Yankem probably did have a really successul debut. His
Fake Diesel, they tried to do something with Fake Diesel.
I mean, Glenn Jacobs could have three characters on this list, but of course, obviously, Kane's going to be on this list. But, you know, we're not counting Isaac Yankem because that character is not the same character as Kane, from what I understand. Be kind of interesting. Be kind of interesting if they actually were able to fuse all three of those characters in terms of their canon, huh?
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah. That'd be interesting. Like Kane was trying to get the WWE to stick it to his brother.
You know what we should do? You know,
two
like
times
the
prior.
most punk thing we could do is we should write a zine where we fuse all those characters together, Larson, of Kane fanzine. And then find out how he became a shitty, what is he? Not a governor.
Mayor of Knox County, Tennessee.
He's a mayor of a county, but it's like a huge county.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Regardless, he's not very good.
Yeah. Anyways, let's go ahead and dive right into this thing. This should be a fun episode. Start off with number 10.
10.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
So after Wrestle Kingdom 10? 9?
I think it was
10. It was 10. Yeah,
yes.
It was 10, I believe, where he wrestled AJ Styles.
2016.
Yeah, it was 2016. January 4th, 2016. Nakamura, AJ Styles had a classic, one of Steve's favorite matches.
Ooh, I love this match.
In New Japan Pro Wrestling. Mm-hmm. It was both competitors' final matches in New Japan. And shortly thereafter, Nakamura confirmed in an interview with Tokyo Sports that he was done with New Japan, going to WWE. On January 27th, it was officially announced that Nakamura would be taking part in the TakeOver Dallas pay-per-view TakeOver.
Yeah, back then it was pay-per-view.
Well,
no, TakeOvers weren't pay-per-view.
No, they were just network streaming specials.
That's right. That's what they were, yeah.
Yeah, so by the end of January, Nakamura was officially done with his New Japan dates. February 22nd, WWE had a press conference in Tokyo to officially announce Nakamura signing, and then go to April. Mm-hmm. Finally makes his official debut at TakeOver Dallas in one of, without a doubt, the finest debut matches in all of wrestling against Sami Zayn. From day one with Nakamura in NXT, they had the presentation down. 10 out of 10. Now, if this same presentation happened against an opponent of the caliber of Sami Zayn, a former NXT champion, someone who at the time was on the main roster, this would be in the top 5. Because in terms of how they presented Nakamura and the quality of the match, there is absolutely nothing to quibble about here.
This is a really interesting dichotomy where Vince McMahon all of a sudden decided it was totally fine to go out and look for names that were a big deal outside of the company and sign them up without any rebrand, and in fact celebrate what they had been. Well, I went back and I looked at the video package for the Zayn Nakamura match. And, you know, Zayn had just come off of like a 7-month hiatus. He had injured his shoulder in his main roster call-up match. And he was out for 7 months. Comes back and Regal says, hey, we're going to put you in here with the latest signee. And, you know, the video package, they had to use footage from a Rev Pro match with Zack Sabre Jr. They couldn't actually get any New Japan footage, I don't think. But while he was Intercontinental Champion, so they had a bunch of footage of him. King of Strong Style. It was Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, at the time, I didn't know who he was. I had to do my research on that because, like, you and I had basically just started like a year prior going in Raw, and we were mainly focusing on main roster stuff. But this was the thing that got us to check out, or for me, anyways, this was the match I think that got me to check out NXT in a regular way, and I think that's true for a lot of people. But they really celebrated who he was, before signing to WWE, and Vince hadn't always done that, and this was kind of a shift, recognizing, hey, there's people out there, AJ Styles, Gallows and Anderson, Shinsuke Nakamura, that he could poach from New Japan, bring over, and then, you know, try to make the most of them. And in the case of Shinsuke, while in NXT, anyways, like this match, which I think Meltzer ended up giving 5 stars.
I think it's 4 3/4.
No, really?
I don't know if he gave this one 5 stars. You continue. I'll check.
Yeah, check that out. But that match really did. They did everything they could to make such a big deal about this. And I agree with you. If they had done everything the same, but on main roster, this would be, I'd be hard pressed not to give this like the number 1. You know what I mean?
It'd
like
be pretty high up there. Yeah.
Because you got that match also. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. So did you find the star rating?
Can't confirm 4 3/4 stars. You know,
Really?
he did give 5 stars as Nakamura versus Kota Ibushi the year prior Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, because it was in the Tokyo Dome.
Well, so was Wrestle Kingdom 10 in the Tokyo Dome. What are you talking about?
Talking about the Zayn Nakamura match, dude.
Oh, no, I was looking up the Tokyo Dome match, Nakamura and AJ. I thought that's what you're asking about.
No. I'm sorry. I was talking about the Zayn. I'm talking about the Zayn Nakamura match. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh.
But so check. Yeah, if that was on main roster, then it'd been like way up the charts.
4.5.
What?
4.5.
Wow.
Dave didn't give 5-star ratings to any WWE matches back then. It wasn't till Gargano and Andrade. I think that was the first NXT match.
Money in the Bank,
stars.
Huh? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
God, I always thought it was Nakamura, but yeah, you're right. Okay.
No, I think this 4.5, not even 4 3/4.
I wonder if I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that, Dave, because this match was absolutely stellar.
It was really good in terms of showcasing Nakamura to the NXT audience, in terms of branding him, his presentation. Mm-hmm. Again, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
The theme was great. The entrance was great. Everything about him was great. And quickly, he became the most popular wrestler in all of NXT. I have never been at a show. It was NXT Brooklyn 2 that we went to. I have never been at a show, I don't think. Maybe during the Attitude Era with a lot of people wearing those Austin shirts, or a variety of Austin shirts, where...
Going to Nitro with those NWO shirts.
Yeah, so much of the audience was wearing merch of a particular wrestler. Mm-hmm. There was at least 35 to 40% of that audience that was wearing Nakamura shirts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was so over. After he won the title of that show, everybody was singing his theme in the concourse as we were leaving the arena.
Yeah, he was massively over. Let me ask you something. Do you think it was a mistake to go with the theme they did and not the Glorious theme?
No, they made the right call.
Because that was originally supposed to be for him.
I know. Because the theme, like, I can't imagine separating the theme from his initial NXT entrance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
I can't imagine separating the two of those. Like, you put that same entrance with the strobe lights early on.
Glorious is such a specific thing, and I'm like, that doesn't fit him. You know what I mean? That's weird.
It doesn't.
Fit Bobby Roode though, man. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Anyways, Bobby Roode's not on this list. Let's move on now to number 9, Larson.
9.
Adam Cole, baby.
Now, speaking of theme songs, it's a bummer that NXT didn't get his New Japan theme song.
Adam, baby.
So let's go to summer 2017, where there was talk that Adam Cole, baby, was signing with NXT, made his debut, along with Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly. They're already in NXT.
They're already in, yeah.
when they attacked Drew McIntyre after he won the NXT title at TakeOver Brooklyn 3. Debut, attacking the champ, newly crowned champ.
Yeah.
Instantly positioned main event dude.
This is one of those things also that, fast forward from that Zayn Nakamura match, which, the era of Nakamura, I really do feel brought a whole new spotlight to NXT, especially for me, because that's when I started watching. And
you did. I thought we started watching after Kevin Owens attacked Sami Zayn. We'll talk about that more in a little bit, but that's what I remember watching in earnest.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about in earnest. I don't know about in earnest because I don't know. I'd have to go back and try to refresh my memory.
Because we watched that takeover where in London. That predates Nakamura.
We might have been watching the takeovers. I don't think we were watching weekly television though.
Well, I mean, we might have been covering it, but
yeah. Well, anyways, fast forward, a year, 2 years, or whatever. I guess 2 years. And man, NXT had blown the hell up. And it became the thing because obviously there's no AEW at the time. It became the thing for anybody who had reached a certain critical point in their non-WWE career. Adam Cole, obviously, Ring of Honor had done everything there. New Japan was definitely an option for him in terms of continuing on with the Bullet Club stuff with him and Kenny Omega, which looked like that was a feud that was heating up, and they eventually replaced Adam Cole's role, I think, with like Cody or whatever.
Yeah.
And instead he came over and signed with NXT, and that was... Everybody knew this was happening. It was a massive, massive deal. And the crowd was basically waiting for this, especially when you see Fish and O'Reilly come out there. Mm-hmm. And then he attacks Drew McIntyre. And man, it was exciting. Crowd went crazy for it. Bizarre that they didn't have on camera the Adam Cole Bebe thing. They released that as a digital exclusive later on.
Yeah.
But the entire crowd exploded with the Adam Cole Bebe thing. And yeah, just a way, like you said, to it's sort of like the tried and true thing with WWE. Debut somebody in the main event, get the vibe, get the feel for it, and then drop him down a little bit. He was the first, was he the first North American champion?
Yeah, he was the first North American champion. Yeah.
And then, he went up and they did the whole Undisputed Prophecy, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially in terms of fulfilling what everybody figured would be Adam Cole, this dude was NXT. Like he was for a solid, like that 2019, nobody had a better 2019 than Adam Cole. And few have had better entire years of wrestling than Adam Cole than he did in 2019. He was everything. And when you look at that year's Survivor Series, that one episode of SmackDown where everybody's stuck in Saudi Arabia, so they had to do the NXT invasion. And he took on Daniel Bryan. Oh my God. I mean, talk about fulfilling what that initial moment really meant.
Yeah.
It was all there and they did everything they could.
Absolutely. 1,000%.
Let's move on now to number 8. Brock Lesnar.
So he debuted on TV March 18th, 2002.
This is also, hold on, before you say anything, this is also where we should point out, we're not counting if these people had already had enhancement or dark matches in advance. Because Brock and Shelton did, as a tag team, have a couple matches where they got beat by, like, I think Al Snow was one of the...
Oh, this would motivate why Brock attacked Al Snow, Maven, and Spike Dudley during a hardcore title match. That's when he made his debut. There's your motivation. Well, sort of like Adam Cole, he was in a segment with Serena Deeb, where there's a security camera of him drinking with her.
Yeah, that's
which
right.
Caused her to get kicked out of the Straight Edge Society.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
So it's very rare that someone just shows up in WWE or NXT without having done something like extra work or something in advance.
Like Daniel Bryan, I think, was in the company like back in 2000 or something like that, just for some dark match. I think he had like a dark match or a velocity match with John Cena.
Styles had
Styles as well.
Yeah, had some enhancement matches.
Yeah. Anyways, let's go back to Brock. You had something that you were about to say. What were you going to say?
So, March 18th, 2002, in the hardcore title match, they put him with Paul Heyman immediately upon his debut, and you knew, all right, this is significant because it's Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
and shortly thereafter, Lesnar was drafted to Raw, and Heyman dubbed Brock the next big thing. He got to a feud with the Hardy Boys, beat them, won King of the Ring, and by summer he was champion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the span of 4 months, he was already champ.
Look at the actual debut, because I know you probably rewatched the video, right? The actual debut. I actually do remember watching this live and seeing, because I was watching at the time. And when he attacked the Hardys, I remember watching that as well. And when he showed up, you really never knew when somebody would show up, just muscle upon muscle upon muscle. We'd seen that before, You never know if they're going to flame out or if they are going to succeed. Putting Heyman with him was so smart, because that's like, oh, they know something extra here. They know something that he's not just throwing some, lunkhead out there who we're going to see if he can sink or swim. They know something about Brock. And that's why they put Heyman with him. And he's not going to go with somebody that he's not going to be advocating for, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so he comes out there. And so, yeah, the Heyman thing, definitely. But what he does, he dispatches pretty quickly of Al Snow. Probably, I can't imagine Al Snow's hips were feeling very great, because Brock Lesnar power bombs him into a garbage can.
Yeah.
Just annihilates him.
Yeah.
Takes out Maven. And then I think gives 4 power bombs to Spike Dudley, who tries to come off the top and hit him with a kendo stick or something like that. And Brock it was as if he was trying to dig to the center of the earth using Spike Dudley and blunt force, just bang, bang, bang. Yeah. You're just feeling for poor Spike Dudley.
Yeah, I know.
But it made Brock look like $1 million, and he was scary, especially fucking traps.
I know. And it wasn't just like that he was massively muscular and huge. He was quick. He was athletic.
And he did
lumber.
Honest to God, he had that look on his face that the dude has camera charisma, and he's terrifying.
Yeah.
He legitimately looks like a terrifying human being.
Yeah.
And all that translated, all came across on camera. And so it's not surprising they saw what they saw in him, and he ended up being completely the real deal, because he goes to UFC and wins the championship there and comes back, and everybody knows. But yeah, that debut was kind of everything. Do you remember who his first loss was to in singles action?
Well,
that's right, the Big Show.
Yep.
Anyways, man, before we continue on, man, why don't we go ahead and talk about the sponsor for today's episode?
Let's do it. Let's take a quick break here. Get a word from our sponsor, DraftKings Pick 6. The NFL playoffs are here, Steve. Wild card weekend in the books. Time is running out to play DraftKings Pick 6 as the official daily fantasy sports partner of the NFL. DraftKings does fantasy sports like no one else.
And it's easy getting started with Pick 6. All you got to do is select 2 or more players and choose if they'll have more or less of a particular stat, like touchdowns, yardage, sacks, and more. And check this out. DraftKings is now making it even sweeter for first-time players. New Pick 6 customers play $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits.
So win more cash on Pick 6. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and use code RAW. That's code RAW for new customers to play $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
And we've got some disclosures from Bill DraftKings. Take it away, Bill.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 30 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Thank you, Bill DraftKings. All right, man, let's go ahead and move on now to number 7. Kevin Owens.
So, August 12th, 2014, announced that he'd signed with NXT. He's got a report to the Performance Center a couple weeks later. And he didn't have his first match until TakeOver R Evolution, December 11th. They ran some video packages, and his kind of like character motivation was, You know, I know a lot of people in NXT and WWE, wrestle with them in the independents, but this is how I provide for my family, so I will fight anybody and wreck anybody to provide for my family.
But not his best friend, Sami Zayn, right?
You wouldn't think so, because he was positioned immediately as, you know, not a heel by any means.
Yeah.
So in his first match, the opening match, I believe, at TakeOver R Evolution, he defeats CJ Parker.
Are you saying that with tongue in cheek? Isn't it TakeOver Revolution?
It's spelt R space capital E Evolution. I think it's supposed to be our evolution, the evolution of NXT.
Oh, okay.
Because Kevin Owens is there, and by the end of that night, he was like the number one dude in all of NXT.
Yeah. No.
So,
Absolutely.
anyways, he defeats CJ Parker, breaks his nose during the match. In the main event, Sami Zayn defeats Neville for the NXT title. And they were not shy about referencing the fact that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn went way back. They were friends.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think they went into too much detail into their history. Like I don't think they mentioned El Generico by any stretch of imagination. But they went into detail about I think it was actually their first match where they had that video package of them with pictures of them like traveling all over the world for shows and stuff like
Okay.
that.
I don't know. I didn't know when they started getting cute with Sami Zayn and the Generico stuff because I thought they had referenced him.
Early on in NXT, they did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Early on his run in NXT. I don't know how much later on. Because it was. I remember hearing about this. So, anyways, Sammy wins the NXT title. Locker room comes out because that was Sammy's story. Is I'm going to win this title.
Oh yeah.
Finally does. Locker room comes out to celebrate with him, including Kevin Owens. Mm-hmm. The rest of the locker room makes their way up the ramp. So the final two walking up the ramp are Kevin and Sammy. And they're at the foot of the ramp, and Kevin has his arm around Sammy, and then proceeds to like lay him out, power bombs him on the apron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was what got me into NXT. That and their takeover match, where the match was stopped because Kevin Owens kept power bombing Sami Zayn over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So I think within a couple months of Owens' debut, he was champion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the way they set it all up, where his motivation was clear as day before he even stepped foot in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And he lays out Sammy, and I believe the next episode he says why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I make more money if I'm champion.
Yeah.
I'm here to provide for my family, not make friends.
Yeah. Very simple. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was great. It was super effective. And I guess in a roundabout way, Kevin Owens is the one that got me into NXT.
Yeah, man. I mean, you could even take a look at this, and he probably has, for my money, the best main roster call up as well.
Yeah.
Like in terms of debuting on main roster when he came out and destroyed John Cena.
And then beat him in his first match.
And then stomped on the U.S. title and held up the NXT championship. Yeah, any way you cut it, man, this was like, from his first match to the end of the show when he takes out Sami Zayn, it was like, holy shit, this is the new main character. This is your new main character of NXT, which is such a vote of confidence. And, through and through, Vince understood Kevin Owens. He really did. From day one, he understood Kevin Owens. And I guess Triple H, it's so funny because Kevin Owens really doesn't seem like that guy. He doesn't seem like a Vince guy, but he's the one guy that Vince trusted to headbutt him for realsies, busting him up. So yeah, I mean, not surprising. He comes in there and oh my God, that match of theirs where he just annihilates him was something that I had never seen before in pro. I'm like, oh my God, they did a stoppage from power bombs. That's crazy. Yeah, that was awesome. That was really, really terrific stuff. A killer way to debut Kevin Owens through and through. So yeah, good stuff.
Fantastic. Oh, his presentation in NXT was so good. The T-shirt with like the duct tape lettering on there.
He still uses it. I mean, everything
he still uses it all.
It's still the same, and it still works.
They changed a lot of that stuff up, save for the theme, throughout his tenure on main roster. One of the first things Triple H did when he took control of creative, brought that all back.
Yeah, that's right. That's
the video
right,
package.
Yeah.
Or the Tron.
Yeah.
The
like
duct tape lettering
on
the
camera.
shirts.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. He brought a lot of that stuff back because it works so well in NXT.
I'll never forget.
Spot on.
He got the U.S. champion like shortly after coming to main roster. He got the U.S. championship, and they had like that generic font of his with the United States flag through it. I'm like, what are you guys doing over there?
Yeah. The O looked like a nut that you used to tighten a bolt. Whenever I looked at the O on his shirt, I was like, that's just a nut.
Oh, Lars is not happy with the nut right there, man. Anyways, let's move on now to number 6. Taz.
So in terms of presentation, again, this is 10 out of 10. The vignettes they had running before his debut.
Those were so cool, yeah.
To
Black
this
and
day,
white gritty. My name is Taz. And in my neighborhood, you can't just try to survive. You have to survive.
Well, even before his debut, it was just, they had the logo with the 13 because they wouldn't do FTW with it kind of pulsing.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And that was it for the longest time. It was just teasing. He made his debut Rumble 2000 against Kurt Angle, who at that point was undefeated. Mm-hmm. Beat him. Mm-hmm. One of the best themes ever. So
Choked
good, in fact, they slowed it down.
Dude, he passed out. They gave them pass out loss.
Yeah. His theme was so good, they slowed it down and reused it for the Shield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's a bummer that they never again capitalized on how awesome the debut was. Because, I don't know, shortly thereafter, he lost to Triple H.
Well,
whatever momentum he had was seemingly gone.
So I listened to both a chunk from Pritchard's podcast and JR's. JR hired him.
Yeah.
And it is interesting how the debut itself, from our point of view, from our perspective, we're like, oh my God, double thumbs up,
Yeah.
But from seemingly everybody else's perspective, thumbs down.
Why?
So this is what I gather. It's a couple things. And you got to wonder how much of it. Honestly, JR boils it down to Taz's height. It's his height, and people thought he was unsafe. So Kurt Angle on his podcast, and I didn't listen to this, I just saw this in the YouTube comments, but evidently, Kurt Angle has said that because there was one messy spot in the match that had to do with the suplex where Kurt Angle almost got dropped on his head.
Yeah.
And the next day, so for number one, before Taz goes out there, he had said that Shane McMahon had said, hey, we need you to retape your wrists because we can't show FTW.
Yeah.
This is during the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Where Stone Cold Steve Austin was wearing BMF shirts.
Yeah.
And Conrad makes this point where he's asked on one of these WWF home videos, what does BMF stand for? And uncensored, they allow Steve Austin to say, bad motherfucker. And so it's like the Attitude Era, you can't put FTW on there?
Yeah.
So they go out there, they have the match. I remember watching that live being like, that was badass. That was fucking how you debut a person. Crowd goes crazy in Madison Square Garden, he's from Red Hook, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently they had Pritchard and I forget who he said, I forget it was Johnny A. Somebody had talked to Taz the next day, said, hey, you can't be doing those type of suplexes anymore. If you do, people are going to think that you're unsafe because now they think that because of what happened with Kurt Angle. Well, Kurt Angle later, like on his podcast, took responsibility for it. He's like, I told Taz to do that and I didn't stick it. And so the bottom line is, according to JR, so Pritchard had said, hey, people aren't going to want to work with you. Well, according to JR, people don't want to work with him because he was 5'8". Mm-hmm. And so many of the workers had a problem selling for a guy that was 5'8". JR said, I thought he looked legit.
Yeah.
He said, but Vince didn't really know much about Taz. He trusted me to bring in good talent. And I thought this guy, given the correct presentation and the right rollout, would be fine.
Yeah.
And he says, but as soon as Vince saw him in action, didn't see it. So a year later, he was in the Rumble, lasted all of 10 seconds. So I'm sure Taz has his own, perspective as well. I'm sure he's probably talked about it before. If I remember correctly, Brian Zane did a Wrestling with Regret video that he posted on Facebook. Yeah. And Taz got in the comments or DM'd him or something. I think he DM'd him or something like that and said, no, this is all bullshit.
Yeah.
Regardless, I remember watching, thinking this dude's a badass. You look at him in there with Kurt Angle. It's not like Kurt Angle was like 6'5".
No, he was 6 feet maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. He went toe to toe with Kurt Angle. Looked great.
Yeah.
So, I honestly think it was, I think what Conrad said Taz had said was basically, I was nervous before I even went out there. No, he said he was nervous when he heard the big pop. He said, damn it, I'm not a WWE creation, and I just got a huge reaction. They're not going to push me. And of course, Pritchard's like, that's bullshit. Why would we do that? That's never happened before. And Conrad's like, why is it so many wrestlers think that same thing then?
Yeah.
And Pritchard doesn't have a fucking answer for him.
No,
he said
doesn't.
Goldberg even said the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's crazy. That's crazy. No, watching on TV, the build-up was fantastic. The debut delivered.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then after losing to Triple H, they have him feuding with Jerry Lawler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And then ultimately injuries, you know, caught up with Taz and he started doing commentary, which he's been great at ever since.
Yeah, no, he was terrific. I think JR did mention, you know, he got injured pretty shortly after he got there, which probably didn't help his case much. But I mean, given that, you know, Vince has been okay with like shorter wrestlers in the, you know, in the past, like Taz had such a unique presentation that the height thing, it's so funny, dude, because I understand in WWF, especially, you know, back then even, size was a thing. You look at guys who look shorter on camera and they're actually pretty damn tall. Like how tall do you think Stone Cold was? Like 6'2"?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Right. And he looked short compared to a lot of people there.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Feuding with The Undertaker, feuding with The Rock, Triple H. Those guys, those are all tall dudes.
Yeah.
With Taz, because he was like, especially if you look at him in his debut, he's so fucking muscular.
Yeah.
He's so stout.
Yep.
Like, and that's his thing. It's like, dude, he'll just chuck you across the ring. And his promo was so good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. That's one of those things where it's like, God, Vince really dropped the ball with this guy because, man, he could have been a proper human suplex machine in WWF.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, everything about this debut was top notch, man. Top notch.
It really
Lead
was.
up, the delivery. Gosh, it was so good.
Yeah, I really think he could have done huge things after that, but, you know, it is what it is. Let's talk about a guy who did do huge things after his debut. Number 5.
5.
AJ Styles.
So, of course, he debuted in the Rumble 2016. Last match in New Japan against Nakamura, Wrestle Kingdom 10. 4 3/4 stars, according to Dave Meltzer. Steve thinks that's a 5-star match.
Our Katra is not aligned on that one, man.
5-star match when I agree with Dave, Nakamura versus Kota Ibushi. Anyways. So prior to signing WWE, apparently AJ did have some talks about returning to TNA with Gallows and Anderson. Didn't happen. Too good of a deal. Perhaps you could say the deal from WWE was just too sweet.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was phenomenal.
It was phenomenal. Debuts at the Rumble. You got Roman Reigns in the ring. And unfortunately, the direction on this was kind of lame because they focused more on Reigns selling AJ being there as opposed to showing AJ showing up.
Yeah. They actually had to re-release the footage online to show his full debut because, the camera kept on, look, I'll admit Roman Reigns, beautiful man.
Handsome man.
It'd be great if Roman Reigns, like, this would have been warranted if Roman Reigns' reaction was similar to the crowd, which is like, oh, huge pop. And he's like, yeah, cheering AJ Styles in the company now. He's like, oh, I'm a huge AJ Styles fan. Glad to see him here. I get to see so many great matches now. So many dream matches here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but instead he was sort of fixing his hair. he seemed underwhelmed.
It was this.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. That same dumb look that Roman always had on his face.
So AJ lasted about a half hour in the Rumble, eliminated 2 people, eventually eliminated by Kevin Owens after being 3rd in the Rumble.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic showing for AJ in his debut, apart from missing his entrance. But that's from television. That's not him. Going into that year's WrestleMania, he was feuding with Chris Jericho. Formed that short-lived tag team. Even made merch, only for Jericho to pretty much immediately turn on him to feud into WrestleMania.
Y2AJ.
And it's always interesting, and I believe after that Mania, he was feuding with Roman for the title. Mm-hmm. And it's always interesting to hear that, about Vince bringing him in and not necessarily seeing world champion in AJ Styles.
Yeah.
But apparently just being so impressed with AJ's work that, again, I imagine it's a situation where somebody from talent relations signs AJ brings them in. Vince is largely unaware of what they've done.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And then, in the example of Taz, maybe being not terribly impressed, but I guess when it comes to AJ Styles, this guy's really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, what he said, he wanted a pit bull.
Yeah, he wanted AJ to be his pit bull. Yeah, I think they brought him in to be a match guy, just put on good matches.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Instead, he ended up being champion for like a year or something.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, just absolutely stellar run in WWE. And it's funny too, because it's like back then, I'm assuming that was a Jim Johnston track.
That was the theme they were going to give James Storm, wasn't it? Had he signed to NXT?
Oh, I didn't
that's
know
what
that.
it is.
Was that a CFO dollar sign then?
I think so, yeah.
Wow. Regardless of who it was, that shit could have been a hit track.
Yeah.
Like on the Billboard song charts,
Yeah.
Like that song, it's like, oh my God, what is this song? It's outstanding. And that's what he got for his debut. Hopefully they go back to that one, to be honest with you, when he comes back from his injury.
I hope so too. I mean, like the presentation with the pyro, with the like kind of raining down.
Yeah.
The whole the part of the song where it kind of so the camera swoops in and he could do his pose. It was all just really perfectly worked out. Yeah, according to AJ, the theme was originally intended for James Storm.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, I didn't know that. So, but again, they're taking a dude who had already had, like 15, 20 years or whatever it was. I guess about 15 years.
Wildly successful everywhere he's been, yeah.
Wildly successful. Just coming off a stellar New Japan run. Leader of Bullet Club, IWGP champion. And didn't change anything. Just made what was there even better. Hey, let's tweak this. Let's give you a killer theme song. Let's bring you in and just be yourself. And luckily, the fact that he's 5'11" didn't hurt his chances with Vince McMahon. And yeah, he had just an absolutely killer career. So
yeah, his first year was fantastic. One of the best quote unquote rookie years in WWE ever. You got him as Brock as Kurt Angle pretty much. To have,
basically. Yeah, absolutely.
Some of the best first years. I guess Kevin Owens as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Just stellar first year in WWE. Yeah.
Let's move on now to number 4.
For
Isaac Yankum DD. No, sorry. Fake Diesel. No.
Nope.
It's Kane.
Kane. So although Kane didn't make his official debut until Bad Blood in October of '97, they started teasing his arrival back in April of that year.
Jesus, it was that soon?
6 months of teases.
I didn't do a whole lot of research on this one. I remember I'm just using my memory on this one.
Yeah. Yep.
6 months of so okay, let me ask you this, Mr. Memory guy or Mr. Research guy. The teases, were they related to The Undertaker as well? Like, were they immediately saying, "Oh, Undertaker's brother's coming in"?
No, I don't think they. I mean, it was a situation they were teasing him. Paul Bearer's like, "Well, I have someone from your past."
Okay.
To stick it to you, essentially.
Yeah, there was never really like a major reason here. It was just like, I'm gonna stick it to you, Undertaker.
Yeah. Well, the idea was that the Undertaker started a fire at Paul Bearer's family funeral home.
That's right.
Killing the family. Undertaker thought Kane was dead from that incident, but instead he survived.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And so Paul Bearer was bringing Kane back to get revenge upon the Undertaker for all that.
Okay. You burned down my place of business.
Yes. So anyways, at Bad Blood, classic, and first Hell in a Cell match between Shawn Michaels, Undertaker. Kane makes his debut during the match, leads to Undertaker losing. Shawn Michaels, even though he's annihilated, pools of blood just streaming down his face. He somehow wins.
Yeah.
And it's all to set up a match between Kane and Undertaker at WrestleMania. So your first program as this new character is with The Undertaker, one of the top stars in the company, to set up a match against him at WrestleMania.
And it was like the WrestleMania, like sort of the definitive WrestleMania that
kicked off. It was WrestleMania 14, yeah.
It was the one that kicked off the Stone Cold era, which, turned the tides for the company, et cetera, et cetera. The only sad thing about this is that he didn't debut with his cape, because if you remember, there was like a house show where he was seen with a cape, and it looked really cool. And I'm like, why didn't they keep? Oh, come on, the cape looked great. Don't give me that look. Cape, yay or nay? Cape, nay.
Cape
no way.
In this instance, Cape no way.
Oh man, and of course, who could forget when he donned the green and black when he joined DX?
That never actually happened.
Never actually happened.
I can't imagine Kane going out there and doing the crotch chop, you know?
Well, didn't he do well, he did something, didn't he? He was hanging out with X-Pac. Didn't he give like a... Did he do a crotch chop? Kane never did a crotch chop?
He probably did a crotch chop at one point, but I can't imagine him standing there with the rest of DX.
Maybe he did suck it. You look like Vince doing it just then.
Did the X-Pac stuff.
Do the Xbox version? Yeah. Oh, man. All right, man. Let's move on to number 3. And number 3, of course, is going to be Ruthless Aggression. John Cena.
John Felix and Anthony Cena, yeah. So, debuted June 27th, 2002 edition of SmackDown, answering the open challenge from Kurt Angle. Of course, he did the Ruthless Aggression bit. Lost with the roll-up, and after the match, everybody was giving him his props, including The Undertaker.
Good job, John Felix Anthony Cena.
Yeah, and so he shortly after that had a feud with Chris Jericho. So it seemed like he was set up and poised for huge things. The problem was he didn't really have a character.
No, he didn't.
And until he could crack that, which he eventually did, as he puts it, he was in danger of getting fired. Mm-hmm. At the least, he felt that.
Yeah.
But, I again, in terms of facing someone in your first match of the status of Kurt Angle, and then afterwards, getting the rub from The Undertaker, that's a pretty great debut.
You know what would be a killer list that I'm really honestly trying to figure out who would be on it? I'll stump you with this one.
Sure.
Who had honestly, Taz would probably maybe be on this list. But imagine if Cena never found that character.
Yeah.
And who knows where he would end up. I think
in terms of debuts,
who had the best debut and the biggest fall off. I don't even know if because Taz was Taz did transition to wonderful commentator.
He did.
But he'd be on that list.
He would definitely. And here's the thing they got right with Taz's debut that they missed on Cena's is the presentation.
Yeah, well, because they didn't dress him. Yeah, they didn't get him a character beforehand.
No, because he was the prototype in OVW.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He's had pretty generic gear and
he looked like
he didn't really have much of a character that, or at least not enough of one that really stood out.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Whereas, to this day, I could sing you Taz's theme. Mm-hmm, yeah. His packaging was on point going back to ECW.
It was. Yeah.
Didn't need to change much there. If they had cracked, I'm not even saying the Dr. Thugonomics thing, at least with Cena's debut, if they had found something from a presentation standpoint that made him stand out more. That was one thing that was lacking from his debut.
It was. But he had the promo down already. His delivery of "I'm John Cena" and "Ruthless Aggression."
Ruthless aggression.
He knew how to enunciate.
He did.
Regardless of what Cena says in that him looking at his own debut match where he said nothing means anything. I think it's a really good match, and it was a really good showcase for him to demonstrate his ruthless aggression.
Ruthless
aggression. I'm John Cena.
And he eventually became one of the top stars in the history of the company. So I guess it all worked out for him.
Boy, I'd really like to do that list now.
All right, we can do that sometime.
Top debuts, the biggest fall-offs.
Yeah.
How did Mordecai debut? Is it a big deal?
I'm sure the presentation was on point.
Would he be on this list had he had just a killer if he became the next Undertaker?
I don't even know who he feuded with at first. I know he feuded with Undertaker pretty quickly. But...
Was he on ECW on Sci-Fi?
Oh, maybe.
I don't know.
I wasn't watching a lot of wrestling back then.
Yeah, neither was I. Once I saw like where ECW on Sci-Fi was headed, I was like, this is crap. Anyways, let's move on to number 2. Every man has his price. And so I hired this guy here, this redheaded fella named The Undertaker. So the Survivor Series.
It was to be Kane the Undertaker.
It was supposed to be Kane the Undertaker. 1990 Survivor Series is when he made his big debut with Bruce Pritchard, a.k.a. Brother Love, as his manager. It was funny because, like, $1 Million Man's like, I hired this guy, and here he is with his manager. I was like, why don't you be his manager, $1 Million Man? But he already had a manager, Brother Love. Do we know where Brother Love fit in with the whole, like, family of The Undertaker?
I don't think he did. Did he?
Well, I figured there'd be some sort of canon answer for like how.
I don't know. I feel like back then Vince just put people with people. And
well, I don't know if like after the fact they had retconned some history between.
Oh, I don't think he wasn't with Brother Love very long because once they brought in Paul Bearer, that was that.
I wonder if they ever put Brother Love in that Undertaker comic book.
That's a good
Would
question.
Pritchard have to sign likeness rights? Probably, right?
Yeah, maybe. It was only 2 months he was with Undertaker. Then they brought in Paul Bearer.
Okay.
Now, that's when the character really took off. I mean, they had the presentation down from day one.
They did, yeah. No, he looked great. The song was great. He came down there and they had him dominate. And a year later at Survivor Series 91, he dumped Hulk Hogan on his head. You got me, brother.
8 inches between Matt and Hogan's bald head.
Just nothing. And he says, oh, you got me, brother. Try to make that dude feel bad. And Undertaker won the title. Dropped it like a week later at this Tuesday in Texas. Mm-hmm. But man, oh man, that debut, big deal. And he really had it going. Now, if Undertaker had just dropped a turd for a couple months, Vince was like, oh, Undertaker with red hair, I don't buy it. It'd just be one in a long line of silly shit that they were debuting back then.
I know, kind of ridiculous gimmicks that Vince thought of and then disappearing. Yeah.
My favorite story of this is just when, me and Mark Callis.
He gets the call. He gets the call? Yeah.
He gets the call, yeah. Is this the Undertaker? The fuck is this? No, he said, yeah, I guess I am.
You had to think if either at some point Mark Calloway wasn't as invested in the character or if Vince just lost interest in it. Mm-hmm. This could have lasted all of 6 months before disappearing off TV.
Yeah, I know.
You know, it's crazy to think that the character, one of the longest lasting characters in WWE history, if Vince had just gotten bored, would have been gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
Who was the dude? Who was the not Stasiak? Who was the guy? Not Jindrak, not Stasiak.
Oh, the Devil's Advocate character.
Yes,
is that what you're thinking of?
Sean O'Hare. Sean O'Hare.
Yeah, Sean O'Hare. Yeah,
that'd be on the list.
Yeah,
because those vignettes were super cool.
Yeah, that was an interesting idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, man. Let's move on to number 1. Y'all know the answer to this. It's fucking Chris Jericho, man. Say what you will about the learning tree. Goddamn, dude.
Yeah, goddamn, that shit sucks.
Yeah, but goddamn, this debut was awesome.
Yeah, it was really good.
The countdown. And do you remember Jericho talking about the origins of the countdown? You know where he got it from?
Is it the post office?
Yes. He was standing in line at the post office and they had a countdown to the millennium.
Yeah.
Because everybody was worried about it's funny, I saw this the other day. Everybody's worried about the Y2K bug. Yeah. And apparently that was an incredibly real thing that everybody had to bust their asses on. And subsequently, everybody was like, oh, yeah, everybody thought it would be a big deal, but it wasn't. But no, it was. It's just people worked really hard to make sure that nothing happened. Mm-hmm. But anyways, he's standing in line at the post office, mail off maybe some merch. I don't know what he's going to do.
Who knows,
but he saw a countdown to the millennium. And then he decided, hey, what a great way to bring me in. And so they started doing this countdown thing. And around the same time, people were like catching wind that, oh, Jericho's getting out of his WCW or he's about to be expired because of the dirt sheets. And sure enough, and dude, it's to this day similar to Penta showing up in WWE. Whatever it is they do, however they do it, WWE when you go from one place to another, a transformation fucking happens. Because all of a sudden they know how to light you, they know your music, they know what you're supposed to wear, they know to send you to the tanning booth, evidently, because everybody looks like just, I don't know, more tan there. Yeah, he looked like a fucking star, and he interrupted The Rock's promo.
Yeah.
And that big, and everybody's like, oh shit. And so lights come down, everybody starts chanting Jericho.
Pyro goes off, yeah.
And then there's that video package with the Walls of Jericho, which is still a great theme song.
It is.
And that one, like the image of that silhouetted girl, like popping up in the crowd, and then the big ass words Jericho, and it's like, oh fuck,
the walls down.
oh my god, that was such a good theme. And he's just standing there, and he's got like a silver shirt on.
Yeah,
looks like like black leather pants. Looks like $1 million. And then he turns around, and everybody's just going crazy, and he's like, and it's like, oh my god. This guy's stock just rose like 1,000,000%.
Yep.
And then Triple H tried to bury him, but he eventually, was able to withstand.
I guess he had a pretty decent career for himself in WWE.
He had a pretty goddamn decent career for himself in WWE. Absolutely. Yeah, and he basically helped launch their competition. And man, I don't know. It is what it is. You can't have that kind of juice forever, man. So yeah, Chris Jericho, boy, that's how you get it done. That's how you do it. That's the template right there.
It really is.
Anyways, hey, let us know what other big what else was on the short list for this one. I know we had some
obviously
other names.
we considered Penta, but I think as great as Penta's debut was, I think we get some time between the debut and maybe we'll revisit this list at some point to get the historical context.
Yeah, sure.
What happened after debut?
Just happened. We don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, the debut itself was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was kind of a toss-up between Kane and Mankind because both of them's first feud was with The Undertaker.
Sure, yeah.
But I thought with Kane, first program, launching him right into a Mania program with The Undertaker, gave him the advantage. Kurt Angle obviously had one of the best rookie years.
Oh, yeah.
In quote-unquote rookie years in WWE history.
Yeah, I mean, he was ready-made with those vignettes, the integrity, intelligence, integrity thing.
Yeah.
What was the other I? Intelligence, integrity. Intensity. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, those vignettes were really good. And then he came in. I don't even know who his first match was against, but he went on that long undefeated streak.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's some names for you right there.
Yep.
Anyways.
Yep. Oh, Kurt Angle beat Sean Stasiak in his first match.
Oh, okay, right on.
So the initial program was kind of meh,
kind of whatever. Hey, who we could put on that other list we're gonna do? WCW.
Yeah.
because man, they fell off quick.
You got that right.
Yeah, anyways. So that's going to do it for this edition of Count Out. Hey, we got channel memberships. If you click join right here at youtube.com/Steven Larson, you get access to our bonus episodes, question threads, and access to our monthly predictions challenges. You can get the same benefits from going to patreon.com/Steven Larson, clicking on the Friendo Club setup there as well. If you want a free and easy way to help us grow here at Going In Raw, hit that subscribe button, hit the notify bell, and that thumbs up. And if you got time, leave us a comment. Let us know who you think had just a killer debut in the WWE or wrestling writ large. We decided to focus just on the WWE for this episode because they're hot right now. I don't know if you heard, but WWE's on fire. That's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate it. Till next time. We'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.